just in time for House of Delegates member Matthew James. He represents the 80th District, part of Chesapeake, Norfolk, Suffolk, and Portsmouth. Delegate James, good to have you.
Good to be here, sir. How are you?
Tell you what, we're fired up today.
I can tell.
Morrissey's going to get elected mayor in Richmond. We call that one back in the spring. You can take that to the bank. Now, Delegate James, let's get just very quickly before we get to the pipeline.
Sure.
Terry McAuliffe now under fire again for giving 13,000 felons restoration of rights before this election coming up. The Republicans suing him for that, saying it's no different than 213,000. It's just he changed the number. What is your position on this whole thing?
Well, my position is, excuse me, I think the law is pretty clear on that. I think what came out was we couldn't, I think it was executive order when we tried to do it in block. And I think now they're looking at it on a case-by-case basis. My personal feeling on, we are a country of second chances, and if there are people who've served their time and had nonviolent offenses, they should be given an opportunity to recapture some of that if they've earned it. And I think that was a position of a lot of people that, I believe I'm a person of faith, and I think that the core values that I've always had personally is we are a nation of second chances. And if there are individuals who have nonviolent offenses and they paid their time, they should be given the consideration to earn back some of the rights that they lost because of what they've done, and if they have made amends for that in whatever way they see personally fit, whether spiritual or not. That's my position.
And getting the right to vote, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a key element to reingratiating yourself back into normal society, right? You want to get a job, you want to vote, etc. And what gets lost in this, Delegate James, is Virginia has an incredibly high recidivism rate. It's right up there in the top 5 or 6 states. And the country's recidivism rate is appalling, highest in the entire free and non-free world, including China. Per capita, we have the highest recidivism rate. So to me, anything that we can do to get people that not go back to jail is the right thing to do. I think this is part of it. I don't know why the Republicans just don't go out and say, okay, I'm going to find out who these 13,000 voters are, and I'm going to fight for their vote.
Well, I wouldn't argue against that. I think that one of the things that we don't do as well as we could is direct resources towards giving those individuals that are, again, in the class that I've talked about, giving them workforce readiness skills, helping them integrate back within society and making them much more productive. I mean, I think that there has to be a benefit, but as my father used to say, you don't get anything for free. They have to earn it.
Right. And I know this is a hot potato right now because this election is so volatile and you got people on both sides of the aisle. Everybody knows I'm for Trump.
Right.
But see, I would rather this, I mean, I don't know about the legal aspect of it, and certainly the Republicans have a right to challenge that if it's not legal. But if it is and it goes through as the Trump co-chair in Virginia, I want to find out who's 13,000 are, and I want to get their vote. Because that's what it's about, right?
I think it's, and I think, well, I don't know those 13,000 that you're talking about personally. I think it's a interesting assumption that they would all vote one party.
Exactly. I think that's what really sticks in my throat about this whole thing, because I think you have an opportunity to go after them and say, hey, there's an election. This candidate can offer you a better future. And then you fight for their vote like you fight for everybody's vote.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned in my young political career that there are no real monolithic voting blocks anymore.
That's it. Delegate James, let's get to the Atlantic Coast Pipeline.
Sure.
Everybody in Hampton Roads has signed a letter in favor of this. We think on our show that it is one of the most critical aspects to bringing jobs and opportunity to Hampton Roads to get the energy and get us off of being so dependent on the military. Where does it stand now, and how do we get this done?
Well, I think it's moving slowly, not as fast as I would like to see it, but I think at least in Hampton Roads, we understand the critical nature of this project. You summed it up much better than I could have, in the sense that my biggest fear is that if we don't participate in this project, we have the potential to become, when it comes to energy project, being a economic development cul-de-sac. And with the slow growth that everybody's talked about, our region ranked recently 50 amongst our peer groups in terms of growth. And we got sequestration looming next year. We need to figure out how to diversify. And without this energy source, we can't appeal or even compete with other countries and not only states for certain types of projects. So, from an economic development standpoint, which is my background, this is a project that would create not only construction jobs, but new jobs down the line. And, we've had economists put out numbers, but it's something that I think that we need to do. From the people that I've met, they can do it safely. So I think that we need to move forward and quickly as possible, because if we don't, we won't be able to compete for certain types of projects that require this energy.
Well, that's it. And it's going to cost the region jobs, opportunity, income, coupled with the fact that Southeast Virginia is still dependent on the military. It's going to be for a long time.
Exactly.
But during times of heightened energy utilization, right?
Right.
I mean, if you can't supply the military with the energy they need, they're not going to put any more carriers here. They're going to end up in Jacksonville, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just the bottom line.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not. Other states have gotten smart about the military facilities, and they're competing. They're offering things and aggressively trying to get some of the military bases within their geographic locality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gotten a lot more competitive, and that's what economic developers do. That's what I do for a living. You compete. So we've got to defend what we have, but this project is really important from a standpoint of diversification. It will be extremely hard for us to diversify without this project online.
Delegate Matthew James, you're a part-time legislator. What do you do for a living?
Okay, I run I'm president and CEO of a 7-city economic development organization focused on workforce development and business expansion. We do that for the cities of Newport News, Hampton, James City County, and Gloucester, Poquoson, and York, and Williamsburg.
And certainly getting the pipeline into Hampton Roads where manufacturing can come and other businesses come and tap into that and get that energy. I mean, if you have that, that's going to make your job easier, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing that a prospect, usually most people, the process is one that they come in and they look at all the resources that you have that fit the project needs, whether it's an expansion project or it's a new project. And if you can't commit or say that you have an energy source that is reliable, low cost, and dependable, you're off the list. Oftentimes, at the beginning of the recruitment process, as well as expansion, it's a game of trying not to get eliminated to get to the final group. And we compete with not just North Carolina and Maryland. We've competed with projects successfully. I'm proud to say on the peninsula, in which we were competing against countries like Mexico and Canada. So it's an international game. It's not just locally. Well,
you just got to have the energy. Now,
yeah.
One of the holdups is, you have a handful of people that we call them, not in buyback yard. Those are some. You've got the others that oppose all pipelines, all energy, all fossil fuel. Doesn't matter where it is, what it does. If we were proposing that it be shipped in a train, they'd be opposed to that.
Right.
Although pipelines are much safer.
Right.
But they're loud, they're well-funded, they show up at events, they protest, they mobilize people. That is stalling this decision and getting started. What is the plan to overcome that level of very, very minority protest?
Well, I think from what I've talked to the folks that they've tried to have public hearings, they've set up meetings, they're working closely with local first responders to make sure that if in the unlikely event something would happen, I think it's just going to be a process of education and saying these are the things that we're going to do to make it safe. And I think that's a dialogue that we will continue to have. But we can't overshadow the fact that if we don't do this, it's really going to hamper and have a chilling effect on our ability to diversify our local, regional economy here.
Okay, so Delegate James, what are the next steps? What has to happen now to finally get this thing done?
I don't. If I knew that, I'd be on your show as a talk show host, wouldn't I?
That's true.
I'm just hoping and praying that we can. I think it's getting to a critical mass that hopefully it will move forward. I know this is one of those special projects in which it has great bipartisan support, and we're just going to hope that we can keep it moving.
I mean, it's unbelievable because it's the only time in memory that I know of where every Southeast Virginia, every Hampton Roads legislator in the General Assembly, House and Senate, Democrat, liberal, Republican, conservative, whatever, all got on the same page, all signed the same document saying, look, we need this because, you know, this is a very diverse group in Hampton Roads, sir,
yes.
as you know.
Yeah.
And it's just diverse in every possible way.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting you guys to agree on anything is like herding cats. And so this is really the first time you've done this. And one of my criticisms for a long time with the Hampton Roads caucus or coalition is nobody takes it seriously. Nobody goes to the meetings. It's not like, you know, Dick Saslaw's Northern Virginia caucus where, you know, he makes everybody do whatever he wants and they get things done. We've never had that here. This is really the only time where everybody has said we need this, from, you know, Bill DeSteph to Louise Lucas, right? When have they ever agreed on anything?
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
Yeah. It's one that, we've all come together. I think it's for the reasons that we've talked about and you've talked on your show. It's one of the things that we can all agree that we cannot let Hampton Roads become an economic development cul-de-sac when it comes to energy projects projects that would need this. That would put a damper because it's gonna get built, probably, more than likely, and if we're left out, we're going to be put in a place that we really can't compete for certain projects.
All right, we need to get this done. We're out of time. I want to thank House of Delegates member Matthew James, Delegate 80th District. You want to email him, delmjames@house.virginia.gov.
That's it, sir. Thank you for having me.